This is a podcast from Rover.
Better me.
Better me.
Better me.
Better me.
It's better me. Hopefully.
Sorry, that was aggressive. I feel like utter shit today. And it's kind of all my own bad, which is annoying. And also just like making me realize like how important self-talk is to yourself. And so basically this is how my day started. It's Sunday. I got woken up because my 2.5-year-old for the last few months just will not sleep in his own bed, like no matter what I do. I've done all the sleep training, we've done all that, and sleep consultant, all that sort of stuff, and he just won't sleep in his own bed. He's just got this like need to be with me. So I've just kind of thought to myself, I can either keep not sleeping at all and having these really stressful nights, or he can safely sleep next to me and everybody sleeps. And I'm just at the point where I'm just so tired that I don't know, it's a stupid, annoying habit, but sleep is just so important and I need to sleep, especially like doing my full-time job, parenting, but also like making this podcast. I haven't really, really enjoyed it, but it has been so much more time and energy and focus and work than I thought it would be, because I don't want it to be shit. So I naturally just care. So I woke up this morning, my dog decided she wanted to wake up at like 5:30, so I took her out to go to the bathroom. And then managed to get myself, get Ruben back to sleep. And then the older one must have woken up to me going outside. And so he came down. So our Sunday started at 10 to 6 this morning. And Bryce had golf this morning, so it was just moi with the boys. But I woke up this morning, and sometimes I just get these like mornings where I feel like my ADHD is like so much more flared up than others. And also like my period's due this week, so I naturally just get super on edge and emotional, and I get weirdly like obsessive. And so I woke up this morning, I was looking for something, found like a vape I didn't realize I still had, and because I was feeling tired and stressed, I just had some of it, which was a stupid idea because I was doing so well like not vaping, and just ended up like now I just want to vape all the time again, which is really annoying, so I'm gonna have to go through that whole process again. But then I thought it was a great idea because I've been seeing Jojo, who we had on for the nutrition episode for the last 4 weeks. After we did that episode, I messaged her and I was like, oh God, I really need help. Like, can you help me get my like life and my nutrition and just my health back on track? And it's been going so good. Like, I've been meal prepping, I've been exercising, I've been, you know, getting my step count up, I've been like being more mindful with my eating and all that sort of stuff. And one of the things that we agreed on is because I obsessively weigh myself, like I weigh myself all the time, and I could feel great, my clothes could feel great, but then I'll weigh myself and it doesn't say what I think it'll say, and it will completely derail me. So last week I was just so busy. I wasn't eating breakfast properly. I like wasn't packing my lunches, so I was making good decisions, but not as good at decisions with my food. And this morning I was like, I'm just going to weigh myself because I feel like I've lost lots of weight and that'll make me feel good about myself. Anyway, so I weighed myself. Terrible idea, because also I think my scales are a bit effed, because every time I weighed myself it was a different weight, because I of course jumped on them and off them about 4 times, and it wasn't what I thought it would be. In fact, it was way more than I thought it would be, and it was bloody, like I ended up just like standing on the scales and crying because I just felt gross. So I messaged Jojo, because we are in contact like every day, and was just so gutted with myself. And she was incredible, and it was like all about like resetting your mindset and stuff like that. And I thought something that we should cover on the podcast is what happens when you're doing really, really well and you feel like you're really getting into a new rhythm and all that sort of stuff. But then you have a setback by getting out of the good habits that you've created, that you were feeling really, really good. I was feeling like a better version of myself. And then I feel like I just effed it all up. Like, how do you get back on, and how do you change the self-talk in your brain? And so this episode is to answer the question, how do I change the negative self-talk and get back into a positive mindset to make positive changes to your life? And I wanted to get Jojo back on because we have a session booked tomorrow where we're going to be talking about all of this stuff and how to reset it. And I thought it would be interesting if you were part of that appointment.
Better Me, hopefully, with Sharon Casey.
How are you?
I'm all right. I don't know, like last week was just so busy, and so when I was like, I just got out of routine of like my meal prep, but I was like making good decisions of getting like the like chicken sandwich on that like really seedy bread, which was good. But I think the mistake I made was that then I also got this like ginormous chocolate chip cookie with it. So that was bad. And then I don't even know how it happened, but then I just started like vaping and stuff. And I'm like, why am I vaping? Like, I've worked so hard to not vape. And like I found an old vape, and then I just started like vaping on it. And then Sunday morning I woke up and was just, I don't know why, but I was feeling good because I like the whole week, even though I had my cookie every day, I was like going to the gym, coming home, saunaing, then I'd have a cold shower. I was feeling really good. I felt like I was like slimming down, and I was like, I'm going to weigh myself because I reckon I've lost weight. And then I like dug out my scales and was like, I just won't tell Jojo. And then I like am incapable of lying. So I told you like 3 minutes later, and I weighed myself, and like I got on, I was like, it can't be right. So I took off my socks, took off my Apple Watch, and I was just looking at it. I was like, what the fuck? Like, how is this like not? It was exactly what you said would happen, was that if I would feel good, but then I would weigh myself and it would like derail me. And I think that it kind of just like, I don't know, it made me feel like real disgusting and yuck. And like when you get that mentality of like, well, what's the fucking point? Like, well, you know, I've done all, you know, and I just got real down on myself about it.
I think when it's like those times, you're like weighing yourself has become like such a measure of habit, and we just naturally go, oh, okay, like I'm feeling good, so I want to check, like reinforce that what I've done is working. But yet we should be able to, or we need to work towards, because it's going to take time, knowing that feeling good in our skin and our clothes fitting a little better is enough of a measurement to know that we're doing well. You know, like you said, like this number on the scale all of a sudden defined your worth and how you were feeling and everything about you. And then letting yourself look, you know, like having that cookie every day, like it's not drastically bad. I don't like to use the term good or bad, but you know, like then you were like, you end up on that cycle of beating yourself up of that being what we shouldn't do.
Yeah.
What do you think triggered possibly, like how were you feeling emotionally last week? Was it like a big week? You know, were you tired, or was there something that had happened, potentially stressed?
I felt like I was having like a really busy week, in the sense like I was saying, like, I love doing the podcast and everything, but it has been way more work than I thought it would be. And it's like some days it feels really overwhelming, and like sometimes I feel like I'm giving like quarter effort to everything in my life. So like a quarter to my family, a quarter to work, a quarter to the podcast, and then a quarter to myself. And I feel like it's just constant. So I was last week like trying really hard to just do stuff for me in the morning. So like go to the gym and then go home and have a sauna and then take on my day, which was really good. But yeah, I think just like that week before especially was like super just busy and stressful, and there was heaps going on. Like we were working like that, not last week, the week before was like a hectic week, and like we were in Hamilton, and I thought we'd be done by like 11 o'clock, but we didn't start work till 10:30, and we finished at like 1:30, 2 o'clock. So it was kind of like, oh my God, like far out. And I think I also just got down on myself because I was like working at that party, and I said, this is so embarrassing. I said to this kid, he looked exactly like my friend's kid, Khan. And when he walked in, I thought it was him. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, hey. And then he was talking to me, and I was like, oh my God, that's not Khan. And I was like, oh my God, you look so much like my friend's son. And the guy was 18, and he looked at me and he was like, how old are you? And I was like, oh my God, I am so, like, and I think I just like got real down on myself and was like, oh my God, I'm so old and crusty, and like, Jesus Christ, and like I've let myself go and all of that stuff. And then I'd worn like these jeans, and like I thought I looked really cool, and then I like would see photos on social media, and I was like, oh my God, I look ginormous. And I think I'm just really self-conscious, or like, because I've started getting like chafing on my legs, and I've never had that before, and I feel like I can't wear like heaps of my clothes because I'm scared I'm going to get chafing or something like that. And it's just, yeah. And so I like sit in my bed at nighttime, like last week, just like Googling like how to make my thighs skinnier so that I don't get chafing and things like that. Like I was adding to cart, I didn't buy them, these like things that you wrap around your thighs when you exercise, or like sorta. And I was like, yes, perfect, that'll fix it. Like, and I just found myself back in that space of like, oh, okay, so if I buy this like massive thing, like I'll get these metabolism pills or whatever.
Okay, so as you can hear, there's a lot to unpack, and we're going to get to Joelle's advice in just a moment on how we can navigate things when you fall off the better me wagon. But let's make this a bit of a group therapy session. I thought that I'd check in with some of my mates around what their triggers are, or what the things are that make them fall off the wagon, or make it feel like they're falling off the wagon.
Usually work and being fatigued from work, or diet. Diet really screws me. Probably me being stricter on myself, like I don't have the best self-control when it comes to it at the same time. And then I get real angry at myself for not doing it.
A really busy social calendar can throw me off the bandwagon. Like I'll be really good eating and maybe not drinking alcohol Monday through to Thursday, and then comes Friday and you've got your friends asking you to go out, or the sun comes out and you get your arm twisted for a beer at the pub.
Probably caving into sweet treats. Like I'll be out and about and I'll be like having dinner out, and then there'll be like something really nice on the menu for dessert, and I'll be like, oh, I'll just have one, and then I'll have it, and then that's it. I'll be like done for a couple of weeks.
Gosh, I usually go way too strict that it's like the smallest thing will throw me off. Someone's like, do you want to do this? And I'm like, oh yeah. And it'll be like the last thing, like something big I'll skip, and then it's the one thing that you're just tired that day, and then you end up falling off the bandwagon. And then I always overindulge in everything that I'm not supposed to.
Bad weather. It sounds really stupid, but you know, when you're lying in bed and you just hear the rain, you're like, I'm not going outside. It just throws me off every time.
Wellness routines are not great for me. I would say a lack of sleep. Like if I'm tired, it's really hard to be motivated. So if I have a busy night, I go out, it's really hard. Or if you're parenting, it's hard to find that time. Once you get your kids out the door, you feel like you've lived a whole day.
This is actually going to be quite fun. We are going to play Fact and Myth about eyes with Ryan O'Connor, who is an optometrist at Specsavers. We're going to find out what's true and what's a myth, and I really need to ask you a couple of questions. So, Ryan, first one. Is it true that if your baby is like super congested, that snot can come out of their eyes? Because I swear this has happened to my children.
It does look like that, but it is not snot from their nose.
Oh.
But their eyes can be very watery and gunky. So the best thing you can do for them is keep everything clean. I know it doesn't look very nice in the poor soles. You're like, oh, what's going on? They look so gunky. But yeah, just keep it clean and it will be okay. The tears are there to wash away any bad bugs, so that helps to prevent any infections.
Okay, apologies to any of my friends I said that to, because I thought that was a real thing. Okay, next fact or myth for Ryan. Do blue light glasses actually work, or is it an Instagram scam?
Blue light glasses, unfortunately, there's no scientific proof that they prevent any eye disease or that they prevent eye strain. In saying that, there's no harm in wearing blue light glasses, and lots of people do prefer to wear the blue light glasses. It helps to bring down the brightness of the light from our screens, and we're all guilty of looking at a computer screen too late in the day. So, yeah, there's no harm in wearing your blue light glasses if they make you feel better.
I may or may not, depending on what your answer is, play this to my 6-year-old, but do carrots actually help you see in the dark?
So the carrots, not specifically, don't help you see in the dark, but they do contain carotene, vitamin A, and that helps the retina to signal to your brain that when you're trying to see. So they may help with low-level light, but things like carrots, fish, omega-3 acids, zinc, your fruits and vegetables, your oily fish, they help to keep your eyes healthy and help the eyes to signal. So in low light, they may give you a little bit of a benefit.
Oh, amazing. Can contact lenses get lost behind your eye? I mean, I've definitely, when I used to wear contacts, I've had one stuck to the inside of my eyelid, and getting that out is you've really got to finger it out. But can it get lost behind your eye?
I don't know if you want to hear this fact, Sharon, but the record for contact lenses in the eye used to be 21. Last year it got broken up to 26 in this poor lady. They were just sitting there under the eyelid. So, no, there's a continuous layer from the front of your eyelid round to the clear part of your eye that, yeah, if the lens is still there, it'll stay sitting in there. And this person had 26 of them in there. Please don't do that.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, people, set a reminder. Make sure you take out your contact lenses. That was a very fun game of Fact or Myth with Ryan O'Connor from Specsavers. We'll catch you again soon, Ryan. All right, let's jump back into my session with Joelle to get her advice.
One, we need to reflect on the fact that you had a huge week. You travelled out of town. You were working massive hours, so you become tired, and you'd let yourself come into that self-sabotage. You would never speak to me the way that you were telling yourself, that you needed all these things. So often it's we come back to the I should be doing this, or I need this, or I need that, and it's actually take a big breath. I feel uncomfortable in my body right now, and that's how you can, we need to come back if you can to those times I don't like how I'm feeling. It doesn't feel nice, but I can continue to do these nice things. What I'm super proud of you for doing is still doing your exercise and still saunering and still doing your cold plunges, because that all counts and works over time. But like you see, the other week, it was a very hectic week. You do have a high workload. You've got 2 little boys. They're still little, right? And sleep isn't you're getting sleep, but it's not perfect because they're still young. And I think we always need to come back with loving kindness to ourselves when we're not, at the top of our game. And I think one thing that we've been really working on is just getting you moving more. And you've been nailing that, your body has been nailing a step count every day. Majority of your food you've been prepping, which you hadn't done previously. Yet that the other week you've just had, you were probably quite run down, stressed, pulled in all directions, and it's going, okay, well, it's a lot. And then coming back this week to going, okay, right now you're about to go to Pilates, tick, tick, little steps rather than, and I get it, that overwhelm of everything being way too much, and coming back to what's the next best thing that I can do for myself. And perhaps it might be having a sip of water, even just that smallest little thing, rather than, and as a female, it's really common, catastrophizing, and that doesn't feel like we do it naturally, but it's catching yourself in that moment and bringing it back to okay, right, so I am okay here. I'm really feeling uncomfortable in my body. What's the next best thing that I can do that is going to make myself feel good? So you learnt, I think, like we take a lesson from the scales experience. Shove them like right back in the back of the, like.
Yep, I have. I can't even, they're back even further now, so I can't even reach them on a stool.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a wonderful measurement tool for some people, right? Like some people just aren't affected by it. I am even like I've healed a lot of my issues with the scale, and now I can step on and be like, oh, like I know that I sit in a weight range and that's that. But for so many, it's a huge, especially when you're on a journey right now, like you are, it's a huge trigger. So we're going to go, okay, that's not how we're going to measure our success in what we're doing right now. I want you to keep looking at like how you feel. So do I have more energy? Like, so if you're eating a meal, one thing we were going to look at was, you know, how you felt after your meals, if you had enough energy. Were you able to reflect on that, or given it was like such a hectic week?
I did find, because so one thing that I do is that especially when I feel like I've lost control of my schedule, because I feel like everybody wants kind of their pound of flesh, when I feel like that, then I get into this like habitual pattern where, and people always mock me for it, but I'll eat the exact same thing every single day. Like I will like go out of my way to make sure that I can go and buy that particular sandwich and that particular cookie with that particular matcha or whatever. Like, and I think I found last week, because I like adding that sugar back in with my lunch, I definitely felt myself wanting more sugar in the afternoon. Whereas when I just had my like healthy snacks, I was kind of like just nibbling away, and I didn't mind fueling my body that way. And I didn't have like the guilt of like when I do eat now, like when I do eat like bad stuff, I feel like, oh, I shouldn't be. I know that I should choose a healthier option. So I felt like my energy was like way more up and down than it was solid when I do eat well.
Yeah, that's huge, like awareness, just even to have that right now. And it's interesting because we often come back to like you've even said here, like food for you is a real sense of like control and what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think when you find yourself in those situations, it's absolutely fine. And like the sugar, obviously reaching for that cookie was quite an emotional like outlet, as in like you were drained probably like from giving so much, but also two, it was like that loving kindness back to yourself. So whether it is a matter of going, okay, like I'm not saying not have the cookie, but if we can look at like a different outlet of that awareness of going, okay, I'm going to buy that sandwich every day. So you've got, you know, you can control your food, but knowing that how you react, like you've got the sugar highs and sugar lows, which will be adding to your emotional overwhelm, and using your food choices to better serve you. And I know that sounds kind of like a little bit more restrictive, but like you were still having with your snacks and things, like you still had like little bits of chocolate sometimes in the scroggin, I think.
So I went and got some of that. I went and got some of that yesterday. Those like little pre-made ones. It's got all of the good nuts in it, and it has like 5 or 6 little dark chocolate drops in it. And so I was like, okay, well now I'll still get my little sweet treat. And I did feel way better like having those. But and I feel confident about going back into that this week, because it didn't make me feel that much better, to be honest, like having the cookie and stuff. Like, and I felt more like proud of myself when I didn't. I think that it was like with me, if I don't balance out the seesaw, then that's when I kind of fall off the wagon of everything. So it's like everything. So it'll be like, oh, I'm going to vape again. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And whereas with if I had just given myself time to chill, then I probably would have had a totally different week. But I think I don't get the opportunity to do that. Like when you're working till 2 a.m. and then you've got to drive home and see your family, and then the next day you've got the kids all weekend. Like it's like you don't have that luxury of being able to just be a piece of shit on the couch for half a day like you used to.
I feel really appreciative and grateful for Joelle and to have her help. As you can hear here, she's amazing at helping with like self-reflection. She does it in this really non-judgmental way. It brings you back to the plan that you set out to do. But I was curious what other people do to get themselves back on the straight and narrow when they are trying to stick to a wellness plan, and one that's actually doable, but you've just lost your way a little bit.
My anxiety gets really bad. Or I feel really shit myself, and then I'm like, okay, time to get better.
Regroup on a Sunday, set my goals for the week, and start fresh.
Cold turkey, just cut it out completely, and then just make sure I go to the gym every day. Basically like creating habits.
See, that's my problem, is I'm constantly swinging back and forth. So I'm always like, start Monday. I'm really not the person to ask. I'm a terrible example.
I just give myself an uppercut, really. I just go, today is the day. You've got to do it. Get your running shoes out. No excuses.
Make sure I make time for it and I plan it in advance. So I like to swim, so I just look ahead in the week and I go, right, that's the day I'm going to go. Even if I don't feel like it, and I sit outside in the car for like 10 minutes before I actually get out, I just force myself to go.
It honestly makes me feel so much better, and I feel like I'm definitely not alone and I'm not the only one that this kind of happens to, which of course Joelle knows really, really well, because it's super common. And she's got some more tips, not just for me, but for you as well.
We need to make sure that you're aware that like you're not alone. Like it is so common that once the week feels like it turns to shit, or like as in like so overwhelmed, so many people feel exactly the same and get so overwhelmed by it all that it's just all like bugger it, like whatever. Even bringing it back to whilst we're mums, we don't, and like you said, we don't have a time to be slop on the couch. It's taking moments like right now in the car, like if you use that week every time you got in the car, like as a trigger. Pop your hands on you put your hands on the steering wheel and go, okay, right, I'm going to sit here and just 3 grounding breaths, like big breath in your nose and out your mouth. Just 3 every time before you drive. I know that sounds like that's nothing to do with nutrition, but it can help regulate your nervous system and can help bring that overwhelm, and you have to just keep going in those times. You don't have a choice because your children are young, work is very demanding, but there is an end in sight. It's not going to be like that every week. So if you can use these small kind of tools to bring it back, to give yourself that little bit of a reset. I mean, you were doing wonderful things, still getting your exercise in and still, sauna and cold plunge, but it's those breath work is like an incredibly powerful tool. And it's not necessarily using it as like a meditative state. Like I know your brain is very busy, and to stop and to stay still isn't going to be your jam. But 3, just deep breaths, this week, going forward, we want to keep up the step count that you've been doing, all your wonderful things around like exercise and your sauntering, and then now that you've got a fresh mind and you've been to the supermarket and you've got your food, I think our focus can be around just really in any moments of overwhelm, try that breath work technique to help really support your nervous system. And I'd love for you to like search for the wins, like your awareness around what you're eating and how you're feeling from it has hugely improved. Like we started, several weeks ago around slowing down how you were eating and just noticing how you feel and chewing your food and things. And like you said, like you are so aware of like that dipping and energy levels with sugar and things now. Like we haven't eliminated sugar. Like are you still having your ice cream?
Yes, just my little one.
Yeah, but that's amazing. Like it's still like that you can still have. and still feel good about yourself. But I think like if we can get back to just finding the goodness in the little bits of like really like, will this nourish me? Like that can be a question. Like nourish as in physically, but also mentally and emotionally. Like it might nourish you emotionally in that moment, you know, eating that cookie, for example. I know we're really focused on the cookies. It's not that big a deal, but
It was a great cookie. It was a big cookie. It was a great cookie.
but like overall in life, it just kind of, you know, like emotionally, like, is it going to make me feel good right in this very second? Or what would best serve me, you know, like for the next hour? Will this nourish me? Sometimes it will, you know, like actually, you know, that is what I really need right now. And just keep like coming back to that like loving kindness.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You're so wise, Jojo.
Oh, thanks. I try to be.
Would you say it's normal, like, because I say we'd be like 4 or 5 weeks in. Do you think it's normal around here that people have this moment where they're like, oh?
Mm-hmm. It is, honestly. I think majority of my clients, it's this mid 4 to 6 weeks in, you like, oh, nothing's working. I'm trying this, like, because you do, and it's just continuing to trust the process. Because, yeah. I mean, I could be telling you to, I could have said from day one, right, you are going to eat chicken and broccoli for dinner. You're just going to have egg whites for breakfast. Lunch is just salad. And you would have shredded weight in those first couple of weeks. But not looking to sustain that. And you would probably be at a similar point, you know, like right now.
I probably would have got to it at like week 2.
and you would have been like, well, like, what's the point? Like, you know what I mean? So it's just, loving kindness, keep using those words in your head and like, will this nourish me? Like your nourishment of your movement in your body and all of those things that you're doing is wonderful. And how you're fueling yourself has been wonderful. It's just you just have a blip in the road, which is so normal. And you still will. Even when we finish working together, there will be times where the week just goes, oh, like, you know, but you'll have the tools to support yourself and to come back to keep going as will best serve you. Yeah.
Oh, we've got this.
You have.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Next time. Bye.
Does this nourish me? That's the main question. And chatting with Joelle, it does always nourish me. I hope that doesn't sound creepy, but it does. And I hope that it's helped you in some way as well. And I think the biggest lesson that we can learn is sometimes things just aren't going to be fucking perfect. No matter how much we want them to be perfect, life sometimes gets in the way and sometimes you just fall off that wagon. We have to make a decision. Do we stay off the wagon and give up, or do we jump back on and keep trying to do our best? It felt like a really heavy episode for me. Also, my dog just died, so I'm feeling a little bit emotional, to be honest with you. And getting back on the wagon when something shit happens is really hard, but we're doing it. We're here, we're showing up for ourselves, so that's great. On the next episode, we're talking about Botox. Did you know that you can buy Botox on Etsy now? This blew my mind. Should you? The answer is no. But we are going to find out a little more about it. We're also going to find out what's an alternative to Botox, because more and more people are getting it. I mean, I've had it, but there are other options out there. We're going to investigate those as well, and I'm going to introduce you to an incredible woman named Olga. Thank you so much for listening. We will catch up with you next time. Really appreciate you coming and listening to the podcast, and I hope that this wasn't too boring for you, having to hear me having a bit of a mental breakdown. All right, catch you next episode. Ta-ta.
Rover. Music, radio, podcasts.